You're listening to Two Girls, One Crossword.
Listeners, have you ever taken a picture with your eyes closed to see what you looked like with your eyes closed? Let us know. Or while blinking. It's like I really never get to see myself blink. I could take a video.
Oh, I guess here's the thing. I always have my eyes closed in pictures, not intentionally, but like I feel like my body knows, like truly knows when the camera shutter's about to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an instinct. It just reacts and immediately closes my eyes at the exact moment that the shutter tries to capture the photo. It's kind of like a talent of mine.
There's some beliefs that think a photo can capture your soul. So
I definitely don't have
your
a
eyes,
soul.
You're protecting yourself from that.
Oh, I was going to say maybe they took my soul already.
I got a notification that my photo bucket was going to be taken down.
That's rude.
MySpace days. So I like logged in. It's all private, so don't try and find it. But I logged in to just look at the pictures. I was like, what was wrong with us? The pictures that we were taking. And it's like everything was so heavily edited. And like
nobody
up
should
in the
have
corner, kissy face or like sad.
And like weird like text over things and
the picnic
like
text.
Yes. Nobody should have allowed us to have access to the internet, let alone a freaking camera.
I'm really glad that it was only MySpace and not anything more than that. As far as like embarrassing myself on the internet. Because if I had TikTok when I was in middle school.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, that was what Tumblr was. So.
Yeah, but Tumblr I feel like was more anonymous, kind of.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm glad that like my Tumblr was more like just the reblogging and like all that stuff. And my live journal was much more not that.
That I never understood. People would link their live journal. If you don't know, if you're not, there's like a very brief moment of time where this was a thing, but people would journal online, like a diary, and they would like link it to their MySpace.
Yeah.
Or like, post about it. And I remember there's this one girl, she would like post, who she had a crush on, all these things. And of course I would read it because I'm nosy, but it's like, this is on the internet and you're telling people this is you. It's not even like you're doing it anonymously.
Yeah, no. It was public.
And then there was Formspring, which is where you would like create a Formspring page and people would ask anonymous questions.
Yep.
I never did that. I would never give anyone the chance to ask me anonymous questions.
That was like inviting bullying.
Oh, and it did.
Oh, for sure. It absolutely did. That's why I never had one. Or at least I don't remember if I had one, honestly. I feel like if I did have one, I would have been bullied. So that's why I think I didn't, because I would remember if I was being bullied. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel like I didn't do one because I was like, no one will ask me anything because I don't know that many people.
Well,
like
that's
no one
true
cares.
too. Exactly. Like I feel like if I did have one, nobody asked me anything, which is in itself a form of bullying.
Yeah, agreed.
Like they didn't care enough about
no one cares.
you.
No one has anything mean to say about me. I would like, of course, write, really weird stuff in people's, not like meanness, not mean, but just like
I saw your horse taking a poop yesterday.
Yeah. Like stirring the pot.
Yeah.
I would not do this because now as an adult, I know this isn't right, but there are people who create like Instagrams for high schools in other cities, and it's like becomes a drama page and people like submit secrets and they like post. It's like, I would love to do that, but also no, because that could hurt people. But in theory.
For sure. Yes. Did you see the TikTok I liked recently where it was like not me at like 3 a.m. with my friends making an Instagram account, and like basically they would take pictures of little pet shop figurines and they would tag people from their high school in those photos. So like one person would be tagged in one photo to kind of be like, you are this little pet shop figurine. And I was like,
the chaos
of that. Like there, no explanation, no reason why you were this pet shop figure versus another. And if you don't know, little pet shop is like basically Polly Pockets, but pets. Instead of Polly's. So, yeah.
I feel like that one is neutral. Like that's chaotic neutral. I don't think
chaotic
that would hurt
neutral.
anyone's feelings because they're all cute. Like all the pet shop pets are cute.
Right. And they were doing it like they were out of high school, but they were tagging people they went to high school with, which is hilarious to me with zero
explanation.
And just tagging.
I probably wouldn't get tagged in that because again, no one knew who I was.
True. Well, my high school was really tiny, so I feel like First of all, I would be the one running it if I had thought of that maybe like 7 years ago. But I didn't, so I'm not going to be the one running it. Or am I? But I feel like whoever would run it, our class was so small that it would be silly if you didn't just go through the yearbook and tag everybody. Anybody out there that is from my high school graduating class and you're thinking about doing this, if you don't include everybody, we had like 100 people graduate with us. You can, you know,
could do that. That's doable.
You could do it. Seriously,
let's think of something else that's not
trolls. What about trolls? Remember the weird neon hair?
We just have to get something where we can get a lot of them.
Yes. Have we been talking for 7 minutes about
nothing? Yeah.
Nothing?
So this is a podcast about us talking about high school. No, just kidding. It's Two Girls, One Crossword, your favorite weekly Podword crosscast. We typically talk about crosswords and trivia. Yes. And my name is Grace Topinka.
And I'm Chelsea Rowan. I feel like that does kind of fall under trivia. We did provide some fun facts from, the Y2K era and beyond. Y2K and beyond, I would say. Little Pet Shop is a little bit past us.
Well, Y2K is coming back now. So if we have any younger listeners out there and you're like trying to get into the trends, create an anonymous website where people can ask you questions anonymously.
Yes. 100% yes. So...
but should we jump into our Poll-a-palooza and stop wasting everyone's time with our yakking? Okay.
Yak, don't talk back. Okay, please continue.
We asked on Twitter, what's your wine vibe?
Okay, this is very much not for the young folks. Okay, you have to be 21 plus here
I feel like
about
most
wine.
People are over 21, but maybe not.
Who knows? Let us know.
Okay, options were red wine, white wine, rosé, and then I don't like wine.
Okay. I'm curious.
The winner at 56% was red wine.
Ooh, is anybody? I'm not really surprised.
No, I feel like that's the classic.
Yeah.
And then tied for second place was white wine and I don't like wine at 22%, and no one voted for rosé as their favorite.
That's interesting. What would you have voted? Did you vote?
No, I didn't vote. I feel like I tend to go for rosé. I do like red wine sometimes, but I also feel like I have an allergy to red wine. Certain red wines. It's because it's like something that's in toothpaste too, and it makes my tongue feel really rough and weird.
Interesting.
So it's like, I don't know. My dad told me to try.
What is it, like the tannins or something?
I forget what it is, what ingredient it is. My dad told me to try French wine. But another reason I don't like red wine is because I get horrible red wine mouth, and then I feel like I can only drink it like in the privacy with like a close friend.
Literally the only person who thinks that.
No, because I feel like my teeth are like bright red, and then I get it like the smile lines on my lips, and I'm just walking around a party like, "Hey everyone," and everyone's just looking at my mouth. So then I'll usually go for, like if in public I'll do a white or a rosé. But
like, what about other people drinking red wine? Do you look at their wine mustache and their red teeth?
Only if they're like really like if someone's really drunk and then they have like the red wine mouth. It's like, this person's a mess right now.
I just want you to keep that in mind, that you never get drunk, like ever. And so I would say that chances of you having red wine mouth are very slim, and that's just like a voice in your head. But that's just coming from a dear friend.
Yeah, chances are slim because I don't drink red wine in public. So
yeah, okay, got it.
I would never give anyone the chance again.
Oh, God. That was a TikTok sound. You ain't never get the chance or something. I forget.
It's like, I'll never give you a chance to make a fool out of me or something like that. God, we're butchering it.
Yeah. It's okay. TikTok moves so quickly. It goes in one ear and out the other, like after a couple of days. I lose all the sounds.
Same, and then you hear like a throwback one. You're like, oh yeah, I remember when that was everything that was on TikTok.
Right.
Well, what's yours? Your wine?
I love red and white wine equally. I think they have their place. I think of the three, I would say rosé is my least favorite, but I think rosé is a great wine to take like on a picnic or something, like very like summery. Yeah, exactly. Rosé is for relaxing, having a good time, for not giving a crap what you're drinking about. That's or what you're drinking. That's what I think. White is a close second. Like if you're someone who's like drinking wine to get drunk, which I used to do in college, I would go for a white because it was easier to drink, and oftentimes you could get like a sweeter one. But now, as I've aged, I definitely prefer like, white with certain things and red with certain things. So it just depends. It depends on what I'm eating.
I'm not refined enough to know that. Have you ever had red wine and Coke?
No.
Together? That's a thing. Okay, hold on. I'm looking it up.
Okay. You just gotta trust her at this point.
Calimocho? I feel like it's a Spanish thing. Yes, Spain's famous wine and Coke cocktail, Calimocho or Calimocho. And I had it once by accident because we went on a cruise, and you have to like sneak on booze on a cruise basically. And we had this red wine. It was so bad, like undrinkable. So we cut it with Coke, and it was actually pretty good. So
Okay.
Listeners out there, if you hate yourself, and if you're not one to care about snobbery like I don't, give it a try.
I would try it. I mean, I feel like, there's times when you want to drink a nice wine with a nice meal. But I also am like, I love my $3 chuck. I will not shy away from that. I am not a snob when it comes to drinking at all.
She will drink anything.
I will literally drink it now. Okay, first of all, though, you were on a cruise? When did you go on a cruise? That's like the biggest revelation of the night.
A senior year spring break.
Who is she?
Actually, it was kind of horrible because I went with like a couple. I went with a couple. Well, first of all, it was Carnival. It was like the cheapest cruise. Carnival, which is fine. Whatever. I mean, the good part is that the food is really the best part.
Right.
And they say you choose like one dessert, but you can order all 3 desserts every night. It's all included. So keep that in mind. But I went with some friends from college, and it was a smaller group, but then I didn't realize it was all the Florida University spring break too. So then all these people were on the cruise, and I'm from Florida. There was like people from my middle school there that I hadn't seen. And it was just like, on a cruise, it was like so packed. Like you had to be out there like early to get a seat by the pool. The hot tubs were all packed. There was one place to go at night. It was like a club. And it was like added that with like all these people from my middle school and high school. I was just like, what? But like no one that I knew really well, but like people that luckily no one, like I did not come face to face with anyone. But
I'm sorry,
like,
that's traumatizing.
A nightmare. Yeah.
When I was in college, I was into like the idea of going on a cruise. It was like a cheap thing that you could do like with your friends, like for like a spring break. And we almost did a cruise for a spring break. We ended up going to Atlantic City instead, which I'm so glad that we did, even though I ran into somebody in Atlantic City from my university. In the elevator, we like looked at each other, and he was like, Groupon? And I was like, yeah. And that was it. And it was just like, God, I hate it here. But like, I didn't come to Atlantic City to like hang out with people I don't know from school. Yeah. I'm sorry. But now I have a fear of open water that has developed quite rapidly as an adult. And first of all, I refuse to get on a boat on the very slim chance that I will one day, like it will be torpedoed and I'll be stranded in the ocean, and then sharks will try to eat me. Or if I survive long enough to be like rescued, I will have been in the salt for so long that my skin will fall off as they pull me out of the water.
Okay, so first of all, you're worried about the wrong things. What you need to be worried about on cruise is that it's like a cesspool of like sickness.
Well, that's like lower on the list. Yeah. I'm not saying it's not there for the worries, but it's not my high. I'd rather get sick on a cruise than you get torpedoed and then like stuck in the ocean and get eaten by sharks. You know what I'm saying?
That's not going to happen. Although I do think if we had a good group together, we would have fun on a cruise. Ironically, like the same way we would have fun in Vegas. You know what I mean?
I'd rather just go to Vegas twice, honestly, at that point. Anyway, should we move on?
Yeah, let's go. We're talking way too much. We're chatty today.
Can you tell that we haven't talked to each other all week, or just like catching up? Anyway,
this week flew by.
I messaged Grace last night, and I was like, I thought we recorded yesterday. I was like, how is this happening again? Whatever. All right, hits and shits. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I'll start, I guess. The Friday, January 7th, New York Times by Robin Weintraub was great. Robin's puzzles are always amazing. These are some clues and answers from that I like. 16 across. ID seen at a post office. And the answer was Idaho. ID being the state code, not like identification, which I was like, oh, that's so good. 35 across was secretly unionize ? The answer was elope. How good is that?
Cute. That one's a good one.
I did a topic on elope. Mint. I don't have the topic number, but good luck reading the titles. Yeah. Best of luck. And then this one, 2 down, 1 constantly craving kisses ? The answer was chocoholic. I loved that so much.
That is really cute.
And it made me think of Hershey Kissables. Have you ever had a Hershey Kissable?
No.
Do you remember Hershey's Kissables?
No.
Hershey's Kissables were released like early 2000s, and they were in response to M&Ms. So they're essentially the Hershey M&Ms, but they're in the shape of kisses, but they have that hard shell like an M&M does.
Ooh.
They didn't last long, but they were really good.
That does sound good. I like it. I'm actually a bigger fan of Hugs. Like the chocolate.
Like Huggies?
Is that what they're called?
I have no idea. I was just saying like Huggies, like the diaper. What do you mean?
No, Hugs. Hershey's has Hugs, yes, and it's like a swirl.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's in the shape of a kiss, but it's a swirl.
Is it like white and milk chocolate? Is that what that's
so.
called?
Yeah.
I thought they were kisses. Just like white and mixed kisses.
They're Hugs.
Okay.
I think.
You learn something new every day. What else?
Possible.
What do you got? What do you got?
Let's see. What do I got? Oh, I should have liked more from that. Actually, let's see. Hold on.
Okay.
Well, this is just a quick shout out for the Tuesday, January 11th New York Times by Ross Trudeau. 43 down, rhyming descriptor for Obama.
What was it again?
No
Obama,
drama.
no drama? I had never heard that.
I had never heard that either. Another thing I had never heard was 65 down, for reals in texts. Oh, maybe that was on Wednesday. Ended up being AFs, I believe. Or
interesting.
I'm
like
just making
as
stuff
fuck?
up. Maybe not,
Well,
maybe not.
Who knows?
I'm just lying. Sorry, obviously I'm not prepared. Okay,
She's struggling here.
back to the no, never mind. Go. Just take it from me. Just go. Run
She
with
started
it
breathing
and
fast. She's
never
like,
come
back to the okay.
I feel like I'm on live air right now.
I love it. Okay, so let's go to the Saturday, January 8th New York Times by Freddie Cheng. I actually have a shit from this puzzle. And it's like a light shit. And only because, I mean, I really honestly have nothing genuinely wrong with this clue and answer.
You just like
except that, okay, here it is. So 56 across, captain's phrase. And it's one of those 15-letter spanners, like all the way across. Shiver me timbers fit. And I was like, oh my God, shiver me timbers is like an incredible answer for captain's phrase.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't shiver me timbers, and that's the shit. The answer was steady as she goes, which, okay, fine, it makes sense, but like missed opportunity, Freddie, missed opportunity.
Well,
okay?
Maybe someone out there is thinking of a crossword. Make a Shiver Me Timbers themed.
Shiver me timbers. I think that would be so much fun, especially to have it as like it was the final across answer, would have been the closer. Amazing. Amazing. Sorry, Freddie, you really disappointed me with that one. Or maybe it wasn't you who wrote captain's phrase. Maybe it was William. William Shortmund. Shorts for short. Okay, anyway, from that puzzle also, I liked this, 55 across. Life is short, blank. This is in quotes. And then it says Jack Torres quip. And the answer is, life is short, eat dessert first. Love
Agreed.
that. Agreed.
Who says you have to eat dessert later? For some reason, I'm on all these parenting TikToks, and they say that put dessert out on the plate, on your kid's dinner plate.
Mm-hmm.
With the dinner, and they'll decide when to eat it.
And they also say being restrictive with food only makes people want it, only makes the kids want it more. So like give them as much access to sweets as they want, and then they get to decide. Obviously, probably in moderation, you might have to like monitor them, but like if they just have access to like whatever they want, one thing it does not have like greater value than another. You know. I mean, I'm not a fucking parent.
Don't talk to Chelsea and I, because we will like down an entire thing of Oreos in like one session.
Do not put us in the same room with a fully stocked pantry of snacks, because we are monsters. Yeah, that's a fact. But also from that puzzle, I learned something, but also, I don't know. Okay, 16 across, teddies and such. And the answer was intimate apparel.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked it up. I had no idea what a teddy was.
You did?
Do you know what a teddy is?
Yes.
In terms of intimate apparel?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was called a teddy.
That's on you.
Is that like common knowledge for everybody in the entire world? Because Matt and I were like, what in the goddamn hell is that?
I mean, I knew it.
I didn't know it was called Teddy. I know what that is. I guess I don't know what it's called. Now I know.
A slip.
No, it's more like a form-fitting, like sexy bodysuit, but like bikini bottom, not corseted, but like, lacy. It's like a one-piece bathing suit, but sexy.
Yeah.
Teddy. I wouldn't call it a slip.
I guess. Well, I don't think they always have to be a one piece. Can't they also just go down?
Oh, maybe.
Like they can be
the
like
ones
tied around your whatever.
I guess the ones I saw on the Google image search were like the one piece, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize that had a name. And anyway, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I learned something from that.
Learned something new.
Yeah. Are you in order now? You ready to go? Okay.
I've gotten my stuff together a bit. Okay. So the Sunday Washington Post by Evan Bernholz called In Character. I liked the theme once I figured it out. In Character is the title. That's basically the theme. 25 across, compassionate fire-wielding superhero. Instead of the Human Torch, it was the Humane Torch.
Nice.
Some other examples. 54 across, web slinger with long and heavy hair. Spider mane. Disney heroine who wore a jangling cat collar. Princess Belde. So it was all like that.
Nice.
But another clue I liked that I thought was very contemporary was 126 across, in quotes, I'm dead. And it's all lowercase. And then the answer was LOL.
That is extremely contemporary. I love that.
Right? That made me happy. And then I didn't know this, but I also, I guess, don't know that much about Superman. Clark Kent's original Kryptonian name. Kal-El.
Prove it. That's what I have to say.
That's what Evan says. So if that's not true, then take it up with him.
Okay.
But I enjoyed that one.
Nice. That's a good one. I have another shit. This is from the Sunday, January 9th New York Times by Timothy Paulin. And this is like a legitimate shit. And I want you to tell me if this is valid. 5 across. JPEG alternative. And the answer is GIF.
Okay.
And I want to tell you.
I thought it was going to be like IMG or something.
Right, or PNG or TIFF or something. So let me just say, for those of you who don't know, a JPEG and a GIF are like formats for files. And a JPEG is a photo file. And a GIF is technically a photo file, but it's a moving photo file. The fact that the clue says JPEG alternative, technically you can have a one-framed GIF that is still, but this is why they're not alternatives. This is why they're not like, you can't just like swap them in and out. Tons of programs accept image files like JPEGs and PNGs and TIFFs, etc., but they will not accept a GIF file because a GIF is a moving image and the file size is exponentially greater. And like I'm sorry, they're not the same thing. It's not
an alternative.
It's not an alternative. Anyway, I was just like, who wrote that clue? I'm sorry. I was just kind of like, it's founded. Not.
That's a good shit.
It's a good shit. But it did have this puzzle did have my favorite clue and answer of the week, which was 9 down. Hardly a lover of hot wings? ? And the answer is Icarus, because Icarus flew too close to the sun and his wax wings
That's a good one.
melted.
That's good.
It's so good. It also made me think of the meme of like, what would you do if you were suddenly dropped in like, like the 1200s and like you met a serf? Like, what would you do? And people like have their laptops and they're like, I would play the SNL spoof of the scene from the OC where what's his face shoots what's her face, and it's like, what you say? Not the original scene, the SNL spoof of the scene. And like they just played, and I'm like, first of all, I love that meme. Second of all, imagine like, I don't know, trying to make Icarus eat hot wings. Like that is hilarious to me.
That's what you would do.
Yes, I mean, hardly a lover of hot wings. Like, yes, he might have melted his wings, but he might like buffalo sauce.
All right,
okay.
I feel like that's good because it wouldn't change the course of history. I'm pretty sure Icarus wasn't real.
No, but hey, we could still have fun.
I guess we're going back in time, so we kind of have to.
We're bending the constraints of reality here.
And by pretty sure, I mean absolutely sure, but.
She's like, I'm only like 50% sure
well,
that
I don't want to write
it.
anything off because anything could happen. Who knows what reality we're living in?
Exactly. Okay, that's what I got from that puzzle. What else you got?
I enjoyed the New Yorkers this week. We did one together, but not
So
this
good.
one. The Wednesday, January 12th by Eric Agard.
So good. It was
Eric,
so good.
You like do your own on the USA Today. You're making other ones. For a New Yorker, it's like...
You got time? Who's got time?
Yeah. Well, or just extreme talent.
Yes.
Okay, so I love this one. 32 across. Be the quiet? Question mark. And it was plead the fifth. So good.
Good. When Matt and I filled that in, we were like, oh my God, it's so good.
And then I also liked 36 across. Rising moons. It was crescent rolls.
Yes. Because
I
they're
would
little
really
moons that rise when they bake. It's so good.
Oh, sorry. That was Mondays by Natan Last. And I have other ones from that one. That's the one?
No, that was the Rising Moons was from Eric's.
Oh, yeah. You're right. I want to move on to talking about Monday from Natan Last.
Oh, hold on. I got
You have
two more
others
from Eric's. 58 across, blank leg, dance fad of the 2000s. And the answer was stanky. First of all, I love seeing stanky in the New Yorker. And then stanky leg is, kind of coming back it came back for a bit on TikTok. It was fun. And then 11 down, they're always bringing up old stuff, ? And the answer was paleontologist. Just an incredible clue rating. Bravo. But go ahead to go to Natan. Natan's was the last puzzle I was going to talk about as well, so we can both talk about it.
Excellent. It's one we did together. Right?
Yes.
Or no?
Yes.
53 across. Debugging aid? The answer was DEET.
Yes.
Loved that. Also, 7 down. Like some agents whose purpose is to kill. And the answer was antibacterial.
So good.
And then
so
34
good.
down. Thoughtless people? Zombies.
Zombies. We have one brain cell, by the way. Shared. From that one, I also liked 14 across. Head inside the bar? And the answer was foam. Head of a beer. Good stuff.
Yes.
And then 32 across. One making loose leaf notes? And the answer was tea taster. Very good. And then, of course, 46 across, 1997 movie with the tagline, he sits, he stays, he shoots, he scores. Answer was Air Bud, which I didn't get this answer. Grace knew it immediately. And as soon as she said it, I was like, oh my God, it's Air Bud. And then it just reminded me, I remember vividly seeing Air Bud in theaters.
You saw it in theaters? I feel like I only saw it on Disney Channel.
Vividly. We went to a theater that I never went to before or after seeing it, because it closed down. And the scene where Air Bud has to pick between the evil clown and the boy family. Oh my God. It was so tense. I just remember being so tense and nervous.
I do feel like that. I mean, it had some heavy themes.
It did. The pudding cups.
For a
I was
kids movie.
I never really liked pudding, but the way Air Bud ate them, I was like, do I kind of like pudding now?
Wait, I can get into that.
Watching a dog eat pudding cups. Yeah. But there was one clue and answer that you and I were kind of confused about. So I looked it up and I wanted to give us both clarity. So
Thank you.
33 across, entitled woman, ? And the answer is, or entitled women, ? And the answer is peeresses, spelled Peerresses. So peeresses, plural of peeress. And essentially, I looked this up, and in British monarchy, the peerage is essentially the ruling class, and it encompasses the entire body of nobles. So it's like a broad term for all of the nobles, including dukes, marquises, earls, viscounts, barons, and the landed gentry. So if you are a woman of the nobility, you are a peeress. And if you are a male of the nobility, you are a peer. So that's what that means.
Got it. Okay.
Welcome to my life, the British royalty.
Now
101. Yes. That's all I have. What about you?
Well, I thought of you when I did the USA Today January 12th crossword by Zausheen Bernakel called Phantom Dream.
Is that why you thought of me?
Yeah. Spy organization linked to abstract expressionism.
CIA.
Yep. Chelsea.
Oh my God.
I feel like you've talked about that multiple times. It keeps coming up.
Anytime the CIA comes up, I bring it up because I literally cannot rest. I'm actually about to start reading that book again about how corrupt the CIA is because I'm insane. Anyway.
Again, she needs to dip in again. Okay. I'll end talking about the Thursday New York Times by Karen Lurie. The theme was, spoiler alert, That was the revealer. 20 important warning before you answer these other ones. And so 32 Across, 2003 Pixar animated adventure was They Found Nemo.
Cute.
2004 Quentin Tarantino martial arts film was She Killed Bill. And then 52 Across, 1993 Warner Brothers family drama, He Freed Willy. But is Free Willy really a family drama?
Is it really? I can't remember. I probably was traumatized by watching Free Willy. It's funny that was a topic because I was spoiled in a crossword once.
Yeah.
And I hold that recently, and I hold that fact in my heart. And I think the reason I hold it in my heart is because it was such a specific spoiler that I was like, I thought, like, if I'm trying to, like, do something without being spoiled, like, I actively avoid various outlets because I know that, like, Zelda is 23 years old. Yeah. And, like, I'm not going to, I'm not going to go on Tumblr. I'm not going to, like, anytime Zelda comes up on TikTok, I scroll past it. Like, I actively look for ways to disengage from any avenues that would give me spoilers. And I never once suspected that a crossword would be a platform where there would be Zelda spoilers.
Do you feel like it's personal?
I feel like they were listening to me. Like, they have, like, on their app, they listened to me and they heard that I was playing Zelda. And they were like, we hate that girl. Let's put it in. Do it. Anyway, it's fine. I'm not bitter.
No, she's fine, clearly.
Yeah, seriously, I'm not crying.
Should we flip the coin before this
Let's
gets
flip the coin. Let's come on. Yeah. All right, let's do it. I'm flipping the coin now. Heads. Oh my god, the new year is smiling upon me.
Apparently. You always come first in the new year. Must be nice.
It is. It's almost Aquarius season, so I think the world is looking at me and being like, hey, it's almost time. I'm like, I know. Okay.
Come whenever Aquarius season starts, she will be insufferable. Mark my words.
And I'm already insufferable, so get ready.
Yeah, you think this is bad?
All right, my topic comes from the Wednesday, January 13th, New Yorker by Eric Agard. It is 15 Across, Secret Blank. Secret Santa.
Oh.
It's not very, well, it's past seasonal. It's like post-seasonal topic. But I feel like we're close enough. And also, it doesn't matter. I can do whatever topic I want. So I'm doing Secret Santa. I will not just be talking about Secret Santa because there was admittedly very little information I could find.
Mm-hmm. I will also get a whole topic out of this.
Yeah, no, I will also be talking about gift exchanging customs throughout the world.
Cool.
Related to the holidays and also not related to the holidays. But okay. I will firstly start with Secret Santa, blah, blah, blah. From Wikipedia, the definition of Secret Santa is a Western Christmas tradition in which members of a group or community are randomly assigned a person to whom they give a gift. The identity of the gift giver is to remain a secret and should not be revealed until after the gifts are open. Mm-hmm. Or I guess you can keep it secret for life, written upon your heart, should you so please.
Some people do that.
Which is just wild to me.
Yeah.
As soon as, like, the whole, like, gag is over, I'm like, it was me. I did it. I gave you that gift. It was me. I'm like, hello, I bought it. I want you to know that I did. Do you like doing Secret Santa? We've done Secret Santas together.
Yeah. I like it sometimes. Ones. It depends on the group, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I feel like we've done it in the office before, and then I get someone that, like, I don't know at all. Or someone gets me that doesn't know me, and then it's kind of weird.
Yeah. We have... at our office, we have a couple companies that work in the same space, and we would do the Secret Santa all together with all three companies. But one of the companies, like, we weren't really close with in terms of the people. We did work with them closely. So sometimes if a person from that company got you, it felt a little random because they would have to, like, go running to all of your work friends and be like, please tell me what to get this person, you know?
Yeah.
I was never given anything bad during the Secret Santa. In fact, They always pulled through. Yeah, but it could be tricky. And there was always, like, a limit, of course, so it wasn't, like, extravagant. But I do miss the work Christmas holiday party. Like, that was always fun. Like, getting dressed up, going into the kitchen, opening the gifts, drinking, watching the Christmas video, and then going to party.
Yeah.
Maybe another time. Another time. Anyway, okay. So where does this tradition of Secret Santa come from? Very difficult to find the origin of Secret Santa. Okay, like basically impossible. So from what I have gleaned, we will learn a little bit about gift-giving Christian traditions. Like I said before, Secret Santa was derived from Christian tradition, and it was performed around Christian holidays, specifically the Christmas or Yuletide season. If we go back to the Bible, as we are wont to do on occasion, we see the idea of gift-giving at the birth of Christ. The three wise men or the magi come to Mary bearing gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So obviously giving gifts at Christmas time is not unheard of. But like, what about, like, what's the deal with like secret gift-giving or like anonymous gift-giving, right? Yeah, other than a loose correlation, like I said, couldn't find any concrete information, but according to secret-santa.com, anonymous gift giving at Christmas time has roots in Scandinavia, where Secret Santa is known as julklapp. Jul meaning Christmas and clap meaning knocking. In Scandinavian countries, tradition dictates that you knock loudly on a door, open the door, and throw the gift into the room or otherwise leave it behind without being seen. This custom stems from the idea of Knecht Rupert, or Servant Rupert, who wanders from house to house giving out gifts, serving his master, St. Nicholas, aka Santa Claus.
Okay.
Servant Rupert is not the blackface Santa from Germany. It is a different servant of
I thought
St.
that was
Nicholas.
from the Netherlands.
Or is it Germany or is it like
Dutch.
Sweden or Dutch? There is a blackface Santa in one of those countries, and it's pretty problematic. This Servant Rupert, is not that.
Okay.
Servant Rupert is much closer to Krampus.
Okay.
If we had to like put him in the lore that we are more familiar with in America. He worked for St. Nicholas, and he would go to children's houses one by one and ask them, did you pray? And if they said yes, he would give them treats, usually like food. If they said no, he would smack them with bags of ashes or sticks, or leave them coal, or all three. So yeah, they say that julklapp evolved from this Servant Rupert tradition where he would go from house to house and like beat the crap out of kids for being bad and not praying.
Yeah, but they took out the slapping part.
Yeah. I mean, they'd get slapped with sticks or bags filled with ashes. Still a form of physical abuse. Either way. I guess the most important part here is that he is not the blackface Santa helper. Anyway, okay, so let's go to Germany. In Germany, tradition states that each household is inhabited by a kind of pixie, either known as Wichtel or Hänselmännchen, depending on like what part of like Germany or like the Austro-Hungarian Empire type locations that you may or may not have lived in. These pixies are essentially tiny domestic sprites who live invisible in a house and help with domestic chores. And at Christmas time, they have the important task of helping Santa deliver his gifts secretly into the house, which is kind of cute.
I could use pixies in my day-to-day.
Yeah, I love that. There's also this idea of like pixies living invisibly in your house is in many, many cultures. It's not just Germany. It's also in like Russian cultures that they have like these gnomes that live in the walls and like come and like you might like realize like, oh, my brush is missing or a sock is missing, or like you notice like, oh, this sock is randomly sewn again. I don't know. And then they would say, oh, that's the thing that lives in the wall that nobody sees.
We don't have that here. Well, maybe we do, but I don't know.
Right.
I didn't.
No, I didn't. The idea of like house elves that you see in Harry Potter, aside from being like, you know, problematic in its own right, that stems from the Russian fairy tales of like the gnomes living or the elves living in the walls. Yeah.
Interesting.
Very much so. Okay. So, yes. Let's see. We talked about Germany. We talked about the sprites. Okay. And so then I did see some mentions online that Secret Santa became a commonly practiced Christmas time tradition in the United States thanks to a man named Ezra Cornell, who, yes, he co-founded Cornell University. It's
wow,
said,
what a resume.
I know. Big deal. Not only did he invent Secret Santa, but he founded a university. Okay, so get on his level. It said that he would attend and host lavish Christmas time parties and included the tradition of secret gift giving at these events. And then that in itself popularized this game in the US. I could not find hard facts that this was true. Like, I couldn't find like letters that said Ezra was like, I am Ezra and I made this game. That didn't exist in my research. So
I believe it.
there we go. Secret Santa is also known as other names depending on where you live. Chris Kingle or Chris Kindle in Ireland. Witchtoln, Secret Santa, Chris Kringle or Chris Kindle in Austria.
Mm-hmm.
Secret Santa, Chris Kringle or Monito in the Philippines.
Okay.
And then Angelito in the Dominican Republic, to name a few. There are many others.
Cute.
Very much so. But Secret Santa isn't the only Christmas time gift-giving tradition, or anonymous Christmas gift-giving tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the second most famous is White Elephant, also known as Yankee Swap, also known as Dirty Santa, also known as Thieving Secret Santa.
Mm-hmm.
So Secret Santa is just like the act of anonymously giving a gift to somebody. It's usually like done at offices. But then, you know, sometimes with your friends, you might do like a White Elephant or like a Yankee Swap. So what is White Elephant? What is a Yankee Swap? In this version of Secret Santa, participants or players bring one gift each that's, you know, suitable or entertaining or whatever. So the host will say, we're going to do a White Elephant. The limit is $25. And you have to bring an entertaining gift worth $25 that could be used by literally anybody that's going to be attending the party.
Mm-hmm.
So if, you know, everybody at the party is allergic to peanuts and you bring $25 worth of peanuts, you're an asshole. You know what I mean?
That's on you.
That's on you. And that's not a good White Elephant gift. So be aware. So yeah. Let's see. Let me see. I was just losing myself in the notes. Grace was losing herself in the notes for her hits and shits, and here I am. Okay. So the gift should be wrapped in such a way that you cannot know what it is. You know, it wants to be secret, right? And then you put it all in the center. Everybody picks a number, and then they each get it goes in number order, and you pick a gift from the center. There's versions where you're allowed to steal a gift from somebody, and then if your gift is stolen, you get to pick another gift, and you can also steal from somebody to pick a gift, and so on and so forth. And that's like the fun of it, is that nobody knows what's in the center. You're kind of going off of like shape, size, weight. Mm-hmm. And then you pick your gift and it gets stolen. You're like, oh, I really wanted that. And then it's funny because the one that you really wanted ended up being like 2 pairs of socks, and you actually got like a really awesome homemade candle or something. That's like the fun of White Elephant.
Mm-hmm.
Another version of this Secret Santa is called Pollyanna, which is actually unique to like the Philadelphia tri-state area. I grew up doing Pollyanna. I didn't know it was called Secret Santa. I was just called Pollyanna where I grew up. And Pollyanna basically is exactly White Elephant. So it's the same exact thing. In some of my research, it was suggested that the name Pollyanna comes from the Eleanor Porter children's book of the same name, in which the heroine plays a game called the Glad Game, in which she tries to find the beauty or something to be happy about in any given situation, especially bad situations. Mm-hmm. For instance, when Pollyanna receives a pair of crutches instead of a doll for Christmas, she is glad to not need the crutches. Okay. And so the message of this is that, like, every gift should be valued for what it is, and no gift is a bad one.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't necessarily agree with, but I can understand where they got the name from. And there's more versions of Secret Santa. There's the guessing Secret Santa, where you play regular Secret Santa, but you have to kind of guess who had you. Mm-hmm. I've never done that. That's kind of stressful to me. It's like open my gift and be like, oh, Grace got this for me, but it was actually Joe Schmo or whatever.
Yeah, too many added layers.
Too many added layers. Then there's Conspiracy Santa. I'm just going to read you. This is from Wikipedia. In this version, participants engage in a, quote, conspiracy where all participants work together to select a gift for a single participant without that participant's direct involvement or knowledge. And they usually do this, like, you can do this like at a company or something. Mm-hmm. It's like an office thing mostly. And the end goal is like essentially like have text chains and emails talking about this person and trying to like with a group figure out the best thing, and you like learn about the person you're giving a gift for.
Yeah.
Which I can understand, but what about everybody else?
One person gets something?
Yeah. I'm like, well, what about everybody else? I don't know. Maybe it's like for like a boss, like that is like a really hardworking boss that does a lot for you.
Yeah, right. The boss should be getting gifts for everyone else.
That's what I'm saying. And then, of course, there's the online Secret Santas. These are popping up like all over the place. They've been around for a while, actually. Like online communities will like organize Secret Santas with essentially anonymous participants. You see it a lot on Reddit. Like if you're in like a subreddit, like for books or something, you sign up and then the moderator gives you an address and says, this person likes mystery books, and you buy them a book and send it to them, and you never know who the person is, and you get a book from somebody you've never met, and so on.
And you get
so
someone's address.
And you get someone's address. Stay safe out there, folks. So now we're going to move on to some gift-giving customs from around the world. Some of these are holiday-themed, and some are more general gift-giving guidelines. There's a really interesting article. Unfortunately, it was sponsored by Hennessy on The Atlantic. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. But I learned some stuff about gift-giving traditions. So, and I also wanted to read the opening quote from the sponsored article.
Okay.
Quote, when Nebuchadnezzar II wanted to remind his wife of her homeland, he gave Queen Amytis the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. When a group of President Truman's fellow Missourians wanted to honor his accomplishments, they gifted the White House a bowling alley. And when the French wanted to strengthen bonds to the United States, they sent a massive copper statue that we now call the Statue of Liberty. Across the globe and throughout history, gifting has played a central role in strengthening our international and interpersonal relationships. In fact, the giving and receiving of presents is so fundamental to humanity that it may be hardwired into our DNA. Scientists have found that our closest primate cousins, bonobos, and chimpanzees give each other gifts of food and tools, and humans likely have been gifting since the first caveman handed a shiny tooth or colorful rock to a potential mate. Through the millennia, gifting has remained universal to humans the world over. End quote. So gifting is a big part of like interpersonal relationships, right? Mm-hmm. And each culture has a unique way of involving in gift exchanges. Let's start with China. At the Chinese New Year, you may receive red envelopes filled with cash. These red envelopes are exchanged between friends and family in China, but also in Vietnam, Singapore, and other Asian countries, as a way to welcome the Lunar New Year and to spread good fortune. But there are rules with the ritual. The amount of money inside each envelope must always be even, since even numbers are considered lucky. But they should never contain the numeral 4 because that word sounds like death in Mandarin. Interesting. That was interesting. The envelopes themselves have significant meaning. Red is a traditional Chinese color of luck. The tradition evolved out of a belief that coins strung on red string would ward off demons that came after children on the new year. The envelopes are often called, in Chinese, it translates to suppressing ghost money. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of interesting. But as the years went by, the coins turned into cash, and the red string became red envelopes, and today there are even popular Chinese cell phone apps that send digital money in a pixelated red envelope, which is very cute. I love it too. In China, the idea of gift refusal is interesting. Many times, a Chinese person will refuse a gift 2 or 3 times before finally accepting it. This does not mean they do not appreciate the gift. It is rather a way of expressing modesty and good manners. So if like, it's in the United States, it's interesting. If somebody gives you a gift, you say thank you and you move on. But that's very much not the case in China. It might be considered rude of you to just automatically accept the gift. They'd be like, oh, you're bold. You know, you're not modest. Okay. And then the idea of reciprocity, I think I pronounced that right, is important. So it's something that most Chinese people have learned since they were children. And like they're very aware and sensitive to the idea and the importance of giving and receiving gifts. It's common for Chinese people to use gifts to express their appreciation for favors they have received. So if you give a gift to somebody, they will repay that one way or another. Equal or more value, usually, for the gift. And then there are inappropriate gifts that you don't give in China. Knives, scissors, or letter openers, which symbolize the severance of a relationship. Okay. Clocks. In many Chinese dialects, the phrase give clock sounds the same as see off into death. Handkerchiefs, which are associated with crying and funerals, and items packaged in sets of 4, unless it is a set of 2 pairs. Because again, 4 sounds like death in Mandarin, which is interesting.
Yeah, my sister got me knives, so.
You're done. Yeah. You're done. So we're going to hop on a plane. We're going to fly to France. A housewarming party in France is called a pendaison de crémaillère, or, quote, hanging the chimney hook. In the time before housewarmings were just booze and food, it was a little more literal. Neighbors might actually bring firewood to a newly constructed house to fuel the new home. And once the fire was going or the chimney hook was hung, the festivities would begin. So like you would go over to their house, you would hang their chimney hook, and then you could cook the food and like celebrate. So that's interesting. In Kenya and Tanzania, there's a group of people called the Maasai. They consider a great honor to spit on the present before handing it over. For the Maasai, spit is a blessing. They spit for greetings at weddings and on newborn babies. Water and grass are sacred to them, and to spit is to share one's own precious water with another person.
Okay.
In Japan, it is polite to offer or receive a gift using both hands, and it is customary to wait until later, when the giver is not present, to open the gift. I know that a lot of people feel it's in America or Western culture, it's like awkward to open a gift in front of people, but it's almost expected. Like someone gives you a gift and they're like waiting.
I feel like that's an actual phobia people have, opening gifts in front of people.
I don't blame them.
Like there's a name for it.
I think it's like, I don't know what the name is, but I think it's like this fear that they're not going to like show their appreciation enough. You know, I can understand the stress of that, especially if like you're being given a gift that from somebody that you know is not a good gift giver or like doesn't really know you as a person. You're kind of like, oh no, what do I do? What do I do? You just got to practice your acting. Let's see. Japanese people will give gifts to anyone they are indebted to, superiors, subordinates, colleagues, and good clients. Gifts received are repaid with something of comparable or slightly higher value on a suitable occasion, not necessarily right away. There's two times of year that are considered like really good for giving gifts: the end of the year and midsummer. And gifts should always be nicely wrapped because presentation is extremely important. We talked a little bit about paper and like gift wrapping when I talked about origami, I believe. And this idea of like nicely wrapped gifts stems from that time period, which I thought was interesting. In Ghana, gifts should be wrapped and presented with the right hand. The recipient may or may not open the gift immediately. Gifts are very important to business relationships. Many businesses show appreciation at the end of the year by giving their customers, vendors, clients, and other business associates Christmas hampers. That's common here as well. And it is also common to give a donation for a funeral when a colleague or colleague's family member dies. That doesn't really happen here, but that happens in a lot of cultures. Like when somebody's family member dies, you show up and you bring money for the family to help them like through the hard times, through the grieving period. In Scotland, the New Year's Eve gift exchange tradition is called hogmanay, and it is basically like done to bring good luck to the home. The first person over the threshold of a home on New Year's Eve is to bring a gift of whiskey, a black bun, which is fruitcake, and shortbread. I feel like that should be here too. Like you have to bring whiskey, you have to bring fruitcake and shortbread. You must.
I'm just like, I'm not the first one showing up then. Right.
Well, I'll make sure you're the first one showing up, and you have to bring me my fruitcake and my shortbread and my whiskey.
We'll talk.
And I know I already mentioned the Philippines. They have like a Secret Santa tradition called Monito Monito, but instead of it being like one gift in one instance, it actually goes on for a week or so. So participants for a week or so receive a small gift every single day. And then at the end of that time period, the Secret Santa is revealed. In Egypt, gifts are typically wrapped twice. First in ordinary paper and then again in brightly colored paper, although white paper is also acceptable.
Okay.
And then in New Zealand, they actually have a state-sponsored Secret Santa program where total strangers can sign up to give and receive Christmas gifts, which I thought was really interesting. And something New Zealand is 100% would have. They would have some sort of state-sponsored gift giving something or other.
Well, it's like your high school. Everyone knows each other.
Exactly. It's very small over there. Everyone knows. Let's end with a little art from I found a little article called The History and Complexities of Gift Giving by Kristen Grant on reporter.rit.edu. Grant talks about a French sociologist, Marcel Mauss, whose seminal study on gift giving was published as a book called The Gift. In it, he explains that social bonds are reinforced by mutual gift giving. Quote, "In theory, such gifts are voluntary, but in fact, they are given and repaid under obligation." This is echoed by Dr. Christine Cray, a professor of anthropology at RIT, who says, quote, "Mauss's main conclusion was that gift giving is not uninterested, That is, people don't give gifts freely and without expectation. In fact, gift giving usually implies an expectation that something would be given in return at some point, whether that be something material or that be a social relationship that is built through that gift or maintained through that gift. Dr. Cray goes on to say, quote, "A sense of obligation can be incredibly powerful. I think that once a gift-giving tradition has been set, it's hard to break that tradition, because if you break from that tradition and say, I'm not going to give gifts to my family, then what you are saying, in a way, is that you don't really care about those relationships." End quote. Interesting. I mean, I don't think that that's usually what people are intending when they say, like, I'm not going to give gifts to my family this year. But I think what they're saying is that gift-giving traditions run so deep and have such, like, a deep societal meaning in each individual culture that breaking from that tradition is kind of like, oh, you're breaking from this tradition because you don't care about me? I think that can be a common understanding if you were to be like, oh, I'm not giving gifts this year for Christmas. And it's like, wait, so you hate me? It's not because they actually hate you. It's because it's so steeped. Like, our culture is, like, and like the interpersonal relationships are so bound up in that idea of gift giving that it could be interpreted as such, which I think is interesting, how that reciprocity, or like the reciprocal nature of gift giving, can be so, like, can be a burden. Yeah. You know?
But I think sometimes two people agreed not to do it, and that's fine.
Yeah. It can be a burden, but can also be something that brings you closer to people as well.
Yeah.
If you do it with the right people, the right group.
That's true.
With the right expectations and understanding. You know?
Yeah.
But, I mean, to each their own.
It all depends. I sometimes don't like getting gifts. Like, I don't like having a lot of stuff. And having a lot of stuff, like, more stresses me out than, like, makes me happy. So sometimes it's like, I only want someone who, like, knows me really well, because otherwise then I feel like I have to keep something because it was a gift. Yeah. But it's not something that I really want. So it can be hit or miss depending on who. But another thing, if you want to do, like, a more inclusive Secret Santa term that I've heard now is Secret Snowman. Cute. Like, if you're doing it with people who don't celebrate Christmas.
Yes. I've tried to do more like White Elephant or something, because that it's not very denominational. I mean, it stems from Christian tradition, but, like, at the end of the day, like, White Elephant isn't exactly denominational. Or you could use Pollyanna, which I grew up with. But yeah, Secret Snowman is one too, as well.
I'd never heard Pollyanna before.
That I grew up with calling it Pollyanna, and then of course I moved away and we were doing Secret Santa with my roommates the first year of college, and I said, oh, you guys want to do Pollyanna this year? And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I was like,
who are you?
I'm like, I gotta get out of here.
Embarrassing.
Very much so.
My topic is on a film that was made for a very, very low price of $3 million, but grossed $4 million on opening weekend and ended up making $27.8 million over its entire run.
Are you doing Air Bud?
I am. I needed something light and easy this week. Okay?
Yeah, of course.
Air Bud is very much so.
I wish I had the foresight to think and not tell people about my Air Bud story.
Well, yeah, sorry. That's why I knew. I was like, no, we definitely didn't have the same topic because you had it in your hits. So if you missed it, that was from the Monday, January 10th New Yorker by Nathan Last, 46 Across, 1997 movie with the tagline, he sits, he stays, he shoots, he scores.
I love it. It was, so good. Like I said, I remember being in theater seeing it. Yeah.
I'm going to give everyone a little refresher of the plot if you haven't seen it, although, well, everyone our age has seen it.
Seriously.
We have a friend who's, like, obsessed with Air Bud and watches it
all the time.
Regularly. Yeah. And the sequels.
It is what it is.
All right. This is the plot. Norm Snively is an alcoholic clown. I didn't realize he was an alcoholic.
I didn't either.
I didn't pick that up when I was a kid. But he has a golden retriever named Old Blue. And he's at a child's birthday party, and the dog does a trick. He's, like, catching balls that are thrown at him. And I don't know if it's in this part or a different part, but Old Blue is dressed in a clown costume as well. And it's very cute. But Snively ends up getting fired because Old Blue gets into some sort of trouble at the party, and the clown is, like, really upset. He puts Old Blue in a kennel and, like, drives off, and he's like, I'm going to take you to the dog pound, which I feel like, why were dog pounds and dog snatchers so prevalent in like 90s children's movies, because I feel like I never see a dog snatcher in my day-to-day.
No. Is that like a thing? They still exist?
I mean, dog pounds exist, but I don't think that's like people walking around with giant nets.
Yeah. Anyway.
But on the drive, the kennel falls out of the truck, and then a car crashes into the kennel, which like pops open the door, and Old Blue is able to get out, and he starts following the car, and in the car is our protagonist, 12-year-old Josh, who briefly makes eye contact with the dog. So we learn that Josh's dad was a pilot who died in a test flight. So again, heavy for kids. The movie's about him dealing with the grief of like his dad dying.
Over my head.
So, Jackie, his mom, relocated Josh and his 2-year-old sister from Virginia to Washington. Josh is still dealing with the death of his father. He finds it hard to open up at school. He's very shy, and he doesn't try out for his middle school's basketball team, even though he does play basketball.
Okay.
Instead, he becomes the equipment manager. But after school, he practices basketball on his own, and this is where he meets Old Blue, who basically like walks out of the forest. And he starts to trust Josh. Josh renames him Buddy, and he realizes that the dog can play basketball, and he takes him home. And Josh's mom is like, we cannot keep this dog. Like, we need to find its owner. But she eventually agrees to let him keep the dog until Christmas. But if they don't find the rightful owner by then they're going to take him to the pound. I was like, lady, this is a golden retriever.
What are you talking about? Oh my God. Okay.
So meanwhile, at school, Josh befriends the maintenance man, Arthur, who happens to be a retired professional basketball player.
Of course. That makes sense.
He comes in later. Once it becomes Christmas time, Josh's mom sees that Buddy is helping Josh overcome his grief about his dad, and it's making him happy, so she lets him keep Buddy as a Christmas present.
Great.
So then Josh goes back to school, and Arthur, the maintenance guy, encourages him to try out for the basketball team. He like puts a flyer in his locker or something. And the coach of the basketball team is a jerk. His name is Coach Barker, which I don't know if that's supposed to be a pun.
Bark.
And he like reluctantly allows him to join. But at Josh's first game, Buddy escapes from the backyard, and he like shows up in the middle of the game, and he runs to the middle of the court, and everyone like goes wild because he shoots a basket, and people are like freaking out. After the game, Josh walks in, and he sees the jerky coach throwing basketballs, like pelting basketballs at another player on the team in an attempt to make him catch better. So he's like abusing this kid.
Oh my God.
So then Josh reports the coach to the principal, and the coach gets fired. And then Josh suggests that maybe Arthur, the maintenance man / ex-pro basketball player, becomes the coach.
Good for Arthur.
He gets hired as the coach. Yeah. So then there's like this whole thing. Arthur teaches the players about teamwork and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
There's like one kid on the team that's kind of a jerk. He ends up leaving the team. Whatever. They end up recruiting Buddy as the team mascot. So he like comes to the games and stuff.
Cute.
And Buddy is getting popular for his basketball tricks. He's on TV. And then the drunk clown Snively sees him on TV. So he shows up at Josh's house with papers being like, I'm Buddy's rightful owner, and these are papers to prove it. So Josh's mom is like, well, he is the rightful owner, so you have to give him back. So he does. But then after a couple of days, Josh is like, I'm going to go rescue Buddy. And I remember this part was like so stressful in the movie.
Oh my God.
He sneaks into Snively's backyard, and he like releases Buddy from the chain.
And isn't the backyard like in total disarray as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a junkyard, basically.
Yeah.
But then he releases the dog into the forest to like find a new life. I don't know why. Like the dog it's a golden retriever. It can't just like survive in the forest.
My God. This kid obviously has no idea what's going on.
When I was little, after watching this movie, I thought it would be cool to to free a dog and let him go into the wild. I was like, oh,
blink,
maybe I'll
blink.
Yeah. I never did that. Let the record show. But I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Later at the championship game, an injury leaves Josh's team with only 4 players. Of course, Buddy shows up. He comes back from the forest, and they famously realize, quote, ain't no rule says a dog can't play basketball. And he is allowed to play as a member of the team.
I forgot about that. Oh, I love it.
So he helps, bring them back from, the bottom. Josh ends up scoring the winning basket. Then, at the end of the movie, Snively the clown takes Josh and his family to court. Arthur, who's the coach now, convinces the judge to let Buddy decide who he'd rather live with. And the judge is a fan of Arthur from when he played basketball, so he agrees to let that happen. And like the clown is there with a like newspaper, and Buddy goes to the clown at first, but then he like rips the newspaper out of his hands. And there's this whole thing where like the clown used to beat the dog with the newspaper, and that's why Buddy kept stealing all the newspapers from Josh's house. And Josh's mom is like, oh, that's why he's stealing all the newspapers.
Right.
It's not because he's annoying, it's because he was abused. And then of course Buddy runs to Josh, and Snively is arrested for animal abuse on the spot.
Good.
So
Goodbye,
quick with
Snively.
justice over there.
Yeah.
So that's the movie. So
Okay.
yeah, definitely heavier than I thought, and we should watch it again.
Oh my God. Yes.
We should. But how did this movie end up getting made? Well,
Someone tell me.
Newsweek.com interviewed the film's director, Charles Martin Smith, because it was the 20th anniversary in like 2017. So I have some information for you
Please.
from this interview. So Smith, in like the 80s and 90s, he was acting and directing in Canada, and he acted in a movie with producers Bill and Robert Vince, who were brothers. Bill knew Smith was a director and told him, hey, we have this movie about a dog playing basketball. Would you want to direct it? Smith read the script and, of course, passed because he's like, well, I'm above that.
Right.
We see that all the time. Actors feel like they're above. Is it always the male actors? I don't know. I mean, whatever. I guess, like, do what you got to do. But also, it's like, you're just starting out. Take the movie.
Yeah.
Anyways, he said it was too silly, and he remained friends with Bill, and he kept thinking about the movie, so he went back to Bill and said, quote, if you let me work on this and turn it from a gimmick movie into a really honest story of a boy and his dog with no CGI, nothing fake, and we emphasize the boy and his dog, I would be willing to do it, which I actually think is what made the movie so good and like, made it stick around in our minds.
Right.
So he and a bunch of screenwriters rewrote the script to make it more honest. At its heart, it's a story about a boy and his dog and dealing with grief, stuff like that. Oddly enough, Smith says that he's not really a dog lover and he's never owned any dogs, yet he directed one of the most famous dog movies.
Yeah.
So what about Buddy? Buddy was the real dog's name, and he's the reason why this whole movie even like came about, why those producers had a script. So he was rescued as a stray, kind of like in the movie,
oh my God,
by a man named Kevin DeSico, who was a dog trainer, happened to be a dog trainer. And Kevin was playing basketball in his front yard and noticed that Buddy was obsessed with the ball and he kept trying to grab it. But of course, the basketball's too big for his mouth. So when he would try to grab it, it would just kind of like be launched out of his mouth. Kevin thought, well, if I lob it to him on an arc with my back to the basket and he jumps and tries to bite it, maybe he'll like squeeze, like, bounce it into the basket. And so he started doing that, and the secret was the way that Kevin, it's all about like how the person throws the ball and how he's standing like in relation to the basket.
Oh my God.
So he was like, well, this dog can do this. So then Buddy was featured on America's Funniest Home Videos and on David Letterman's Stupid Pet Tricks, and Kevin approached Keystone Pictures to produce Air Bud, and he formed his own production company called Air Bud Productions.
Cute.
This will come later. This is the dog owner.
Okay.
So that's how they got the idea for the movie. They were like, we're going to make a basketball movie about this dog. The Vince brothers got involved, and then they were trying to find someone to direct it for years, basically.
Yeah.
So Smith, the director, said that Buddy was obsessed with any type of ball. In fact, anytime they needed him to like look affectionately at Josh, they would show him a tennis ball and then tuck the tennis ball into Josh's jacket, and Buddy would follow him around everywhere and like look at him, with love in his eyes.
Oh, that is so cute.
And then filming with a dog, of course, is kind of hard. It's always hard to work with animals. Smith said the basketball sequences were really hard to shoot. There was so much going on, but he said one scene was the hardest to shoot, and it's a very intricate scene. I'd love to watch it again. Basically, the scene is Josh is arguing with his mom in the living room about keeping the dog. It's a long sweeping shot that shows the dog out of one window. The camera comes around, and we see the dog out of a different window. Then the camera continues to move around, and at the end of the argument, we see the dog in the house. So Smith says he figures people don't even realize it was all done in one shot. It's like Birdman, that one scene, but they had to use 3 different dogs.
Wow.
Buddy's in the house, and then he had his body doubles out in the yard to get that shot. But I was like, why did they do this complicated shot? He said that was the hardest shot to get.
Because it's cinema, Grace. It's cinema.
I guess. He really wanted to show his chops.
Chops, yeah.
Another scene that was hard was the one where Buddy sneaks out of the window, trots along the roof, jumps down onto a car, onto the driveway, picks up the newspaper, and takes it to the backyard. They scheduled half a day to get this one scene, but Buddy did it perfectly on the first take, and everyone like broke out into applause.
Oh
so
my
that scene, if you watch the movie, that scene, one take, all he needed.
That makes me so happy. He's such a good boy.
I know. Speaking of, all the stunts are real. There's no CGI.
Wow.
It took a while for Josh, the actor, to learn how to throw the ball perfectly to Buddy. Obviously, he wasn't as good as Buddy's owner was at doing it, but he was eventually able to get it. It took 19 takes for the actor who played Josh to lob the ball just right, like in the initial basketball scene. And so they said by the time, like, when he finally got it on the 19th take, everyone, like, the producer was like, oh my God, thank God we can do this. And then he got the hang of it and was able to do it.
Oh, he was
a
young,
lot of the
though.
shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's been in other stuff, so we'll talk a little bit more about him. But Smith said that Buddy had no reaction to when he made a basket. Like, he just knew that he had to bite the ball. He didn't realize it was, like, the trick was getting it into the basket.
Yeah.
So he would get praised heavily anytime he made a basket, but he didn't seem to care. He just loved to play with the ball. He was just obsessed with balls.
Oh, my God.
But also, movie magic, they would deflate the ball and cover it in olive oil to make it project better from his mouth.
Okay.
Sadly, Buddy died a year after filming due to bone cancer.
Oh my God, Buddy.
He was also quite old when they filmed, maybe around 9. They weren't sure because he was a stray. But Smith said they had to touch up his white muzzle often. And I was looking like at some pictures, and it's true, he does have like a little white on his face. He's an older boy.
Oh, I didn't realize he was an old boy.
Yeah.
It's interesting that, like, because I was wondering, like, if this idea came from a dog that was a stray. I'm like, how old was this dog then? Because he looked, in my memory, he looks like 4 or 5.
Yeah. No, he was 9.
Wow.
And Smith said he had like watched old videos of him doing tricks, and he was like so young and nimble, but it took him forever to get this movie made.
Yeah.
So yeah, he probably would have been able to do more tricks if they had done it earlier, but I think he did an amazing
good
performance.
job.
Smith, the director, reiterates in this interview that he had nothing to do with the sequels, which include Air Bud Golden Receiver, about football, Air Bud World Pup, about soccer, Air Bud 7th Inning Fetch, baseball, and then Air Bud Spikes Back, about volleyball.
Of course.
Then there was the Air Buddies series, which there are a bunch of them, and those are about Buddy's kids, and they're all puppies.
Okay.
And they talk in Air Buddies.
Right.
So Kevin DeSico, Buddy's owner, was also not included in the sequels. He had a falling out with Robert Vince, one of the producers. He claims he was not paid for the first movie, and that he also owns the right to the name Air Bud because that was his production company's name. So I don't know what happened with him, and obviously that's not the same Buddy. He's not in the other movies.
Yeah.
The real Buddy, he had 3 kids, and they did get some milk bone work, like milk bone puppy treat work. Yeah. That's about it. DeSico wanted to make a sequel called Air Bud The Next Generation, but it never took off, and the concept was a cross between Ferris Bueller and Home Alone. So, I don't know what that would have been like. Kevin Zegers was the actor who played Josh, the kid, and he was in all of the sequels except the last one about volleyball.
Okay.
Seeger also starred in the movie MVP, Most Valuable Primate, about a hockey-playing chimp, which I also remember on Disney Channel. So it's definitely typecast.
God,
like the kid in animal sports movies.
Yeah.
You may also recognize him from Gossip Girl as Damien Dalgard, the drug-dealing son of the Belgium ambassador who like hooked up with Jenny, if you remember.
I do remember.
Yeah.
Weird. It all comes full circle.
And then as for the director, Smith, who didn't want to do the silly dog movie, some of his biggest hits were Dolphin Tale 1, Dolphin Tale 2, and in 2019 he directed A Dog's Way Home. So,
poor guy.
Don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Yeah. God. Well, you got to get work somewhere, right?
Yeah.
We all need to pay the bills, unfortunately.
And he has a daughter who's our age, and he says that like all of her friends, her coworkers all call him like Air Bud Dad. So, that's like the best. Imagine if I'd be like, yeah, my dad directed Air Bud.
Could you imagine meting somebody and then be like, oh yeah, my dad directed Air Bud? It would change my life. It would change my life. I'd be like, wow.
Well, my last boss, his brother was Avercamp in Mighty Ducks, the like nerdy kid in Mighty Ducks.
Yes. Okay. I feel like I knew that.
I probably brought it up.
Oh, okay.
See, that's a kind of impression when you have those connections and it makes on people.
Yeah. It's true. It's true.
I was an extra in Marley and Me, which I brought up before. But if we're talking about other movies with golden retrievers, so not a big deal.
Yep. She's basically famous, so.
Basically.
Oh, okay. Now we have to watch Air Bud. I haven't watched it
Yeah.
in obviously 20 plus years, so. But
I have not seen it recently at all. I've only seen it as a child.
But it definitely had an incredible impact because so much of the movie is like so vivid. I remember the court where they played, like where Josh and Buddy meet, where the pudding cups, the the hopping off the roof onto the thing, the junkyard where he saves Buddy, like the whole scene where he has to pick the clown or the opening scene with the evil clown and the party. I remember all of it. And it's been like 20 plus years. Wow.
Well,
anyway.
Shout out to the director.
Shout out to Air Bud.
He made it a serious film.
He did.
Yeah, we'll watch it once we finish watching Twilight for the 12th time.
We'll let you know how it goes.
Series,
of course.
By the way.
Yes. Wow. Great stuff this week. The gift that keeps on giving. Am I right, ladies?
When you're right, you're right.
Yes. And I guess until next time. But
until next time.
Until we get to the until next time, make sure to follow us on Twitter at the Good Eve Girls.
Or Instagram at the Good Evening Girls.
Or TikTok at the Good Eve Girls as well. Come on by. Say hello. We have a lot of fun. Also, yes, I am holding my toe spacers in the YouTube video. So I just felt like
check out our YouTube.
I felt like I was just holding this and I was like, it's weird that I'm like waving this thing around. Then I'm like, oh crap, it's toe spacers. Yes, they're toe spacers. Google them.
I feel like you should not be talking about your toes that much on the internet. That's just me.
I'm not talking about my toes. I'm talking about my toe spacers. I never use them.
Yeah, but
they just sit here on the side.
You don't know what people are picturing now. Anyways, on that note, everyone keep curious.
Please do, about Air Bud and gift giving only. Yeah. And I guess we'll see you next time.
See you next week.
Bye.